there, my lovelies, my hearties, my soul squad. My name is Jenna O'Malley. I'm your soul writer, author of sci-fi fantasy with dashes of romance and nerdy references, and very much happy Preptober, happy upcoming Halloween, and for some of us it'll be happy Samhain and New Year, right? So let's go ahead and get to understanding the world I'm creating. I did decide to stick with Regolith's Relics, the Children of Moondust, as my project for NaNoWriMo 2022. So how are we going to do this? Getting to know the world, because this could potentially be upwards of a 12-book series. I'm not planning that far in advance. I'm seeing where book one takes me first. Got it. So what are we going to go ahead and do for this? In order to give you a glimpse into the whole binder of notes I have started, OMG, we could be here 2-3 hours with the world building notes I have in there, okay? We're not going to take 2-3 hours. What we're going to go ahead and do instead, if you check the link in the description box below, you'll find a NaNoWriMo blog. I'm not sure the year it came out, but it's 20 questions you should consider when doing world building. As a builder of worlds myself, I'm not wearing the correct shirt for that, but you have seen it in past videos. So as a builder of worlds myself, let's go ahead and, well, answer some of them by obeying the dice and combine a couple of things. I normally rely on D20 dice tabletop gaming type standards like Pathfinder, Vampire the Masquerade, and of course Dungeons and Dragons to kind of give me inspiration and guidance on doing my character and world building. Yeah, I could basically turn the Marina Annals into my own homebrew campaign if I wanted for that reason. I decided to go a little bit differently with things. This time around, I am relying on the Moonology deck, the Moonology Manifestation deck, and my Tarot, mini Tarot of Cats deck to kind of help me do a lot of character world building and plot building, in combination with some tools over at the Heart Breathings library of resources that Sarah Cannon lends to us. I wanted to go ahead and use just a harkening back to my original step into the writing world as an author and use the dice with those 20 questions. We're going to pick 5 of them today. This is a D20. It's my favorite D20 because it's big. I call this my, the DM is tired of you being an idiot dice, but of course it's purple. Of course it's purple. So let's go ahead and get the first roll on. I am smart enough to kind of bring a dice cup. Yahtzee, you taught me right. It's a Yahtzee. No, it's not weighted. and I deposit it into a bucket so it doesn't go all over the floor. 20. Question number 20 asks, what kind of objects or ideas are familiar to the people or of your world? I'm looking at my screen. Forgive me here. And what kind of objects or ideas are strange and outlandish to them? Well, book 1 picks up in the year like 4,200 and something. And therefore, they have like Cowboy Bebop type individual planes, and you can kind of travel in between planets and things of that nature. So this would be very uncommon, I think, to see a lot of our technology in play. I probably will keep with my nerdy references, jokes, and whatnot, and make fun of a lot of things in our culture. What are familiar to them? They are definitely going to be used to screens and not paper. And I keep catching myself a lot with that in this world to make sure that I'm mentioning things being read on screens and being talked to in that manner and not so much using paper. Paper is like a rare delicacy of a resource in this world. Loki! Do you see birdos? She sees birdies. You might hear more of those type of interruptions. So let's go ahead and check question number 2. And Donnie the Hatch. We are looking at question number 8. Oh, I misread it. Question number 10. We're looking at question number 10 this time. To the screen we go. Question number 10. What is the geography and climate of your world? Well, each book, if I go beyond a single book, will take place on a different space station type situation. In book 1, we are on the SS Callisto, or known as Space Station Jupiter 4. She opened the curtain. One moment, please. So right off the bat in chapter 1, quote unquote, it's probably not going to be the actual chapter 1. It's more like I spewed 4,000 words worth of notes onto a page and I'm calling it a couple of chapters at this point. But it's all artificial, technology based, kind of simulated. And where they are on Callisto is very, very, I want to say like green, lush, European looking. So even the weather can be artificial. It'll actually rain and so on and so forth to match kind of like if there's, say, a star shower going by, they might have high winds and things of that nature to match, for example. Let's go to question number 3. A little enthusiastically, apparently. Question number lucky 13. What are the distances between important places in your world? Draw a map if you want to. So I would need a map of the stars as they currently are. That is going to be what I use as a lot of my reference and research. Yes, I've already been to kind of the different telescope websites where they do show off different star maps as we know them today and so on and so forth. A lot of .org, .edu. I am a teacher. I do love my research. So I will be relying on a lot of that data in order to track, how long would it take in our time, divide it by 3 or 4. So that way I can indicate that technology has gotten better mathematically. Speaking of question 3 or 4, let's go right to question 4. Ooh. Da-da-da-da! My favorite number, 6. One of my 2 favorite numbers. So question number 6. asks, does your world have a religion? Do the people of your world put their faith in some sort of power or institution? So, overarchingly, between planets, space station, moons, worlds, whatever, no. So in between books, that could change depending on the culture that is being the focus, because it would kind of be similar to what I imagine the setup could have been. If you know the Gundam franchise, you kind of have a colony that's mostly this mixture of amalgamation of cultures, whereas you have another colony that is kind of the same, and that just makes sense. We as humans like to categorize ourselves in a particular way because we're creatures of habit and organization to some minor deal, and I really wanted to hone in and focus on that with the people in this world, or series and worlds. Let's see, what was the other part? Do people in your world put their faith? They still do put their faith into something overarching. There's the Internova Balmoral Magistrates, which they are kind of like the overarching council. Representatives from each colony kind of get together like a united front. Yes, hearkening back a little bit to the Gundam franchises in particular, if you know behind the stories of the Oz organization versus the United Earth Sphere Alliance. Hello, my Gundam Wing lovelies. And you would definitely understand kind of the starting tensions that could be forming. It's definitely not a far-fetched leap from, say, the United Nations or similar organizations that exist in our world as humans today by comparison. Let's go ahead and do the fifth and final question. And we are on question, number, it's really liking the low numbers all of a sudden, 2. Question number 2 asks, how did your world originate? Do the people who inhabit your world have a creation myth or a scientific explanation of how it came to be? So there are paranormal romance elements to the anime space opera complement of this series, and that's when you're really going to get into the humans versus the immortals. You have humans that have amalgamated together into a mass culture to where they don't necessarily see racial tensions the way we do today. They look at, are you artificially created or human created? Okay, so were you most likely an IVF or IUI baby? For those of you who have infertility, you know that type of terminology. It also allows us to see a world that is somewhere possibly in between, say, maybe Lois Lowry's The Giver, for example. You can see where we are headed toward possibly deglobalizing, possibly deindustrializing, deconnecting even on an internova level, and going back into these colonies that really just want to be together. That is not necessarily something that we will investigate inside of the Children of Moondust, but that is definitely a setup inside of that story for future stories. So those are 5 questions based on the NaNoWriMo world building blog about the world of Regolith's Relics. I do hope to go ahead and not only do a walkthrough of the 2 main characters, Amber and Varian. I also, at the end of the month before we start NaNoWriMo proper, will walk you through the contents of what's basically becoming the first physical series Bible that I've made in quite a while. I originally made one for the Arsinoe Forest Alliance and I didn't keep up with it. So let's see if going back to my storytelling roots the way I had them when I was a teenager will help me out a little bit. Thank you all for being here, my lovelies, my hearties, my soul squad. I hope to see more of you around here. Let me know what I can do to help cheer you on throughout Preptober. Let me know any questions you have about this series or other projects I mentioned. I do hope to see you around on my sprints, perhaps over at other playlists I do, such as Replaying the Plot. If you want to go ahead and get in contact with me to do some sort of collaboration, let me know. Take care of yourself. Above all, I know you're worth it. Bye. Soul Rider out.